Why wouldn't you do that? It's a no-brainer.
I don't lose.
I'll tell you when it's not coming out. It's not coming out this Christmas, and it's not coming out next Christmas, okay? And that's all I'll say. You can't expect me to put out a legitimate console.
And that's bullshit, because you don't own it.
Right,
But Tommy owns Intellivision.
no, that's not true. He owns a share of it. So does Stephen. So does
Check 1 2.
Escaping me.
Check 1 2. Let's go. Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Sean Bernard, how are you? P.O. Box Christmas. Hello, how are you, sir? The Retro Bro is here. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. And there's a lot going on today, right? There's a lot of news out there. Some of it's real news, and some of it is fake news. Fake news, that's right. That thumbnail, why does Phil Adam look 54 years old in television marketing and 75 years old current time? It could be Photoshop, right? It could be Photoshop. It could be a lot of things out there, guys. 10 days without talking about Intellivision. Wow. That I think that's a record here in a while. It was nice to actually be a viewer. I was watching No Swear Gamer, and of course I watched the Slopes video, and those are great, man. They were really great. The Slopes video, I think I do the voiceover around 3 hours and 10 minutes around there. I was watching it while I was cleaning the house. That's exactly what I was doing. And let me tell you, a lot of things, right? A lot of things have changed because Amico started when he was 54. Yes, it seems like it, doesn't it? Jesus Christ. Guys, I have the stomach flu. I am sick as hell, but this was just too good. I gotta have those hits, and it had been a while since we had some real news. I'm drinking some 7-Up here to kind of calm my stomach down because it is going insane, guys. I'm like ready to puke. But what happened today is not what you're thinking about. You see, the same with Snestastic, the Amico kid. The Amico kid. Oh, man, he needs to change his name back. You got to change your name back, man. That's what made you famous. That's what made the people love you. We don't like these new names, We don't like the Fandango Kid. No. We don't like the Fandango Kid. We like Essex Gaming. Net worth. And that's what we're going to talk about today, net worth. We're not going to talk about fake news. We are going to talk about real things, real tangible things, guys, that make this story interesting. So I'm going to share my screen with you here, and let's take a look at these documents. Right, these are legal documents. These you can trust, right? These we can take to the bank. These are actually things that happened, and not suppositions or anything like that, right? I'm going to have to put on my glasses here because a lot of this stuff is really, really juicy, right? This is Tommy's answer, and this is posted at the Reddit for Intellivision. Let me share it with you guys. Let me do that. Let's see here. Let me go into my own channel and your channel live. There we go. Tommy's answer, and let me share it here so you guys can see it. Slopes did a great job. Yes, he did. He did, and I think that it took 4 hours. Really says how long we've been on this journey, right? We really don't think about it, when you go on the day-to-day. Sometimes we kind of lose track of time of how long this whole crap show has been going on, right? And it's been a while. It definitely has been a while. First, let me say this. There is more evidence that Mr. Phil Adam here is a crowdfunding failure, right? And this is a Kickstarter that they put up on the Amico underscore Reddit underscore, and this is Battle Chess, right? Subdued Software LLC was started in 2009 by industry veterans Mike Terlicki and Phil Adam and Mike Michaels. The band, right? The band's together again. They're pulling some of their shenanigans, and well, it didn't work out, right? They wanted $100,000. That seems to be seems to me that is Phil Adams, favorite figure. Now, first, let's talk about what happened with our friend that tried to get him to sign, give us permission, if you will, give him permission, Gatoru's, to publish the games so they can pay back some of that refund money, right? That was a great idea. That was amazing of him, just to say, I'll do it pro bono. He was going to do it for free. And what does Phil Adam come back? First, he said, give me 30 days, right? Because he has no track of time. He has no track of time. That's why I made this picture of him here, because what you see there on his forehead is that spinning wheel that you get on your computer when you have to wait. That's exactly what it is. He said, give me 30 days. And in 30 days, he came back and says, I'm going to need at least 6 figures. Dude, is this guy for real? 6 figures? Let me tell you something, guys. While I get something ready here for you, let me tell you something about 6 figures. That is a fantasy in his number, right? In his head, it's a fantasy number in his head that he's made up, right? That is very unrealistic. Now, why is it unrealistic? Well, where is the evidence that anybody investing 6 figures, and if we have to believe 6 figures, we'll say the minimum is $100,000, right? What evidence has this man provided that any of these games can generate that kind of revenue? None. There is no evidence, right? There is no evidence that he can generate that kind of revenue for anyone, let alone his own company. So if you go in there, right? If you go in there thinking that you're going to make this kind of money, how are you supposed to even fathom the idea that you can do it when the company itself could not even sell that much, right? So if you can't sell enough games to justify the tag price of $100,000, and I was looking at this picture here, guys, it really, this is what it reminded me of when I was thinking of anybody making that claim. Remember Charlie Murphy when Prince told him that they were gonna play in the Prince clothes, and he started busting up? I need 6 figures. Wait, maybe more according to some email that's going around there. I'm not even going to talk about it, guys, because let me tell you this. I got a copy of an email today via Twitter that somebody says that was sent out to Phil Adam, and it's fake news. It's fake news. Let me tell you why, guys. It could be, right, somebody just fishing for information out there. But when I showed it to my neighbors over here, they said, first of all, that's not how you make deals to acquire licenses to publish, for starters. Number one, but even more damning than that is the grammar on the email. Right? Nobody with a business degree wrote that email. It sounds more like something you would send out, I don't know, like a phishing email from another country, where they tell you, hey, invest in this. I got some money for you. I got some of this, some of that. But yeah, it just, that's not any credible news that I can, talk about, because anybody trying to look for those licenses would not do it in that manner if they were looking at it seriously. You can just look at Tommy Tallarico's record, right? How did he get his licenses? He would go knock on doors, and these are business relationships, right? You actually have to set up meetings. By the time you get into writing, you're just really negotiating price. You're, going over the dimes and nickels usually, right? but just in general, the way that email is worded, it doesn't pass the smell test, right? And that's why I'm not talking about it, because, I could sit here and make up some story about that email and try to give you, some type of analysis on what's being said there. And it looks like Phil pretty much smelt it out and just made up numbers, right? Because these are not real numbers, guys. This 100,000 is not a real number. And anything over 6 figures, 7 figures, are you nuts? For what? What are you going to pay 7 figures for? It makes no sense. This company is about to go bankrupt by any metric, right? So why are you going to pay that kind of money for something that is not going to survive for long? It doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So there is no... Phil said basically the same thing as in that email to me about a month ago. Yes, and it looks like they just parroted, the same thing. But the way that email was written, Gatoru's, doesn't pass the smell test to me. At least the way they were asking for properties. That's not usually from somebody that has a serious offer, right? And you're talking 6 figures, so they already had 6 figures. That's not the way you reach out, right? That you do it in other ways. So I think that we're really just fishing for information and to see what Phil was going to say. And I think Phil smelt it out real quick, and that's why he said, I think 7 figures also. I mean, which is completely, absolutely, positively nuts. What I think is more important, though, is Tommy's answer to this suit, right? He has several defenses on here that he put on there, right? So we already talked about this other crowdfunding that Mr. Phil Adam had here. But when we look at Tommy's defenses here, right, that he's putting up, and there's only one lawyer, by the way. It's not 40 lawyers, but he put several affirmative defenses here. And you can go down the line, right? You can go to 1, this complaint fails sufficiently to state a cause of action upon which relief can be granted against the defendant. And I'll go down the line. You wouldn't pay 7 figures for Farkle? It's tempting, right? It's tempting. Oh man, and then you get all the reps. I mean, you get the guys doing the Amico Forever show as testers. I wonder if the show is included in that. I don't know. Do you have to hire them as employees? God knows what these people have been promised, right? But at least they have a disclaimer on there, so you can point to it to tell them that it's absolute horse doo-doo. You see, I think number 4, right? Number 4 is the one that really sets the table here for us. Let me say this, guys. The minute, and I mean the minute, that Intellivision did not renegotiate this debt is the minute that they were at war with Mr. Tommy Tallarico. I want you guys to think of this. How much money did Tommy make for these guys? Just in loan repayments. And loan repayments alone, they should have all gotten together and pay this off for Tommy, right? Even though he guaranteed it, right? Just out of gratitude. So Tommy's sitting there going, you're doing this to me? You're doing this to me, right? Because they know they don't have to pay this. They know they're on the hook for this. But here at number 4, plaintiff's claim against defendant is barred because plaintiff has failed to fully pursue Intellivision Entertainment LLC before pursuing the defendant. What? That's all you need to know. He's saying you need to hit them before you hit me. Nothing else really needs to be said. Now, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. At this point, these are things that are being put on this document, right? And of course, this is not legal or financial advice or anything like that. We're just reading what this public document says, right? And this is one of his defenses here, number 4. In number 4, he's saying take action against a company before you did me. What do you think? The company didn't know about this? Of course they knew. Intellivision was getting these invoices, right? And just like anything else, guys, these invoices will come with stamps on them. 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late, red envelopes, attention. And then what happens when they move? You can't get the, right? And they could have done many things, right? They could have done many things. Any debt can be renegotiated, guys, because if you owe somebody money and you tell them, listen, I don't have money right now. We need to work this out somehow, right? They can repossess everything and do what they're doing here, right? Just like they would with a car. Or you could say, look, I can pay you, I don't know, there's other ways, right? You can declare bankruptcy, you can do whatever your lawyer tells you to do, but usually you can renegotiate debts if you have incoming funds. You know, maybe you could pay it later, maybe you can reduce the payments, you can make the contract longer, whatever it is. Someone said Intellivision Entertainment LLC is technically discontinued. I believe you're right, and I don't want to say definitively because that would be like making a legal claim. But I think once they moved it to Delaware for whatever purposes, I think they reconstituted the company in a different way. I think there's a real rift here between the two parties, right? And Intellivision doesn't have to do anything, right? If the old LLC is gone, it doesn't exist anymore, and the only party that is signed and available is Tommy Tallarico, this is going to get real ugly. And by ugly, I mean really, really interesting, because these are going to go back and forth. So when the plaintiff answers in this matter, they're going to put even more information, right? And then they're going to go back and forth. These are all going to be public. So we're going to get to read them unless they reach a settlement before that. Now, these usually, right, in general, I'm not speaking about this case, but in general, right, these cases without an attorney come out like when people get their cars repossessed and they don't have any, lawyers they can depend on. If you get a lawyer, you might be able to work out a deal. It just depends, we don't know what that contract says. We don't know what the guarantee says. And believe you me, guys, people sign some really, really dumb contracts sometimes. They do. They do. Look at timeshares. Now, is a Delaware company replacing it? It might be. I don't know what's going on in the background, right? We don't really know what's going on in the background. But what it seems like to me here, right, and if I was a betting man, and I am, right, is that the communication with Tommy has broken down. And the one thing you know about people who engage in these type of activities, right, and I'll say that, not to get myself in trouble, people that engage in these type of activities, the one thing you can be guaranteed is that they do eat their own. Believe you me. There is plenty of people at Intellivision Entertainment that could have paid this bill, and they didn't. So since they didn't, what does this do to Tommy? This is a public embarrassment. Not that he's already not disgraced already, right? But before he was just, people are just calling you a scammer in general. Now you're a scammer and broke. Now you're a scammer and you can't pay your bills. What are they looking at? Are they okay with Tommy just getting his credit dinged by, by unpaid bills? This doesn't seem like any type of friendly gesture to Mr. Tallarico, let me say that. And just the fact that he raised so much money for them should be look, if you have friends and you make money with your friends and you get in a little bit of trouble and you help them out, some of them doubling their money, and now you're in trouble and they won't even look at you, and that's something, right? That's something. That this is going to get personal at some point, believe you me, 100 grand makes things really, really personal, right? We're going to know who's friends and who's not friends in this company right quick. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me, Gatoroos is here. Super caffeinated. Hi, how are you? I don't want to miss anybody here, guys. Just really quick. Right. So let's look at some of these other ones. So this is 4 here, right? There's a comment here they want to highlight because this is really important here. In the complaint, plaintiff alleges that it financed the equipment to the defendant for over $180,000 in February 2021. And after about a year, it sold the same equipment for only $5,544.48. This sham sale was not commercially reasonable, right? And it may seem to a lot of people that way, but let me tell you something. See, I see people arguing over whether Tommy is still rich or broke now. I'm just wondering how him auctioning off his stuff fits in all of this. Was it just for show? You know, without knowing what's going on in his personal life, it's hard to say, right? It's hard to say. If you're going to have an amicable divorce, for example, those type of things can happen. I'm not saying that they happen here, but those type of things can happen, right? You can divide certain things. I mean, you do want to keep your home at all costs, right? Now, look, plenty of people go bankrupt, right, and still have money, right? A lot of millionaires go bankrupt and still have money. And those are all financial tools that you can use in business. You can use them in your personal life, what have you. That doesn't mean you're going to be destitute. Of course, it's going to have a financial impact, right? But behind the scenes, we don't know what's going on. This is what's so interesting about legal documents. Here we can read, right? Here we can read. And what this tells you also is that 2 things. Mr. Tallarico, if he had the money, he would have paid it or negotiated behind the scenes if he felt that he had to, right? So either he doesn't have the money to fix this problem, number 1, or he's not willing to fix it for whatever reason. And we're going to find out here pretty soon. But those are the only 2 options. I mean, if you have a bunch of money stashed up somewhere, then you just take care of this, right? And just say, well, screw those guys, and they did me wrong. I made them money, and now they didn't pay this, and now I'm on the hook for this stuff. Now, going back to this, right, to this commercial viable, this may not necessarily work if whatever was done, and I don't know, guys. We're just speculating here. We're just spitballing, right? We're taking very educated guesses on this stuff. Because who's going to want furniture that color, right? He ordered it that specific color. There were some things to some of these pieces that were done that were requests, right? So if their position is, listen, these aren't stock items. I can't go over to a general office and say, hey, do you guys want light blue furniture? That's not what usually sells in an office, guys. Everything is either gray or black or brown. Those are usually the color schemes. You don't go in there with sky blue, light blue, or whatever the heck you want to call it. So that might be the answer that you get from the vendor themselves. Let's see here. My theory is that they all ate crab legs at Tommy's basement premiere sweet session. Yeah, no, when it gets to the money, that's really it. So the vendor's going to say, well, who do you want me to sell these to? Right? There's only so many people in the old man cringe community. And which one of them is going to pay? Some of these chairs are what, like $900? Don't get me wrong. I mean, I would like some memorabilia, but I'm not paying no $900 just to sit on Tommy's old chair. And, I'm sure a lot of people watching the Amico Forever show pretty soon would pay that amount of money, right? But that wouldn't be most people, right? So now you have all this furniture, $180,000 worth of retail, whatever that was, and now you want to sell it, right? You auction it off, and if you think about it like a repossessed car, Because now you got to take all this stuff, right? Imagine if you take it all. You have two choices. You're going to store it in order to sell it at some point. You can find a buyer for the best price, for the best money. But now you have expenses of storage. So you lost money on the deal because they never paid you. Now you got to bring this furniture into a warehouse of some sort, and you have to pay even more money. How does that make sense? It makes zero sense. What makes sense is to sell it all, liquidate it, see what you can get for it, and get the rest from the person who bought it originally. The same as a repossessed car, right? When a car is repossessed, the person goes out and gets the car. If the person does not satisfy the loan or what they owe, then that car, right, is going to go to auction, and whoever is the highest bidder is going to buy it. Now, hopefully, they buy it for what the car is worth, but usually that's not the case in repo cars, right? They bought it brand new, they had it for 2 years, and then they can't pay it. Now you have a 2-year-old car, lost 50% of its value, and the loan is still at 100% of its value plus interest, right? And then they sell it at the auction for like a quarter of the price. You're on the hook for everything else. This is the kind of scenario this is here, right? They don't care who pays them. This company would have taken the money from Intellivision if they would have given them the money, if they would have paid. But Intellivision was broke because everybody, according to the documents we saw, was taking money out of the company. And this is probably the worst part of this, right? This is what makes it personal. They had money, right? They had money in the beginning of the quarter, right? And they decided to take additional compensation according to those documents. Why not pay off your bills? Why not issue the refunds? Why not satisfy any of the other things that you have outstanding? They didn't do that. What they did is give themselves additional compensation according to the paperwork filed with the SEC, right? And this was one of the outstanding bills that wasn't paid according to this suit, right? Because these people would not be suing you if you had paid them. It's just as simple as that. So now Tommy's on the hook. Now let's see what other defenses he's claiming here. Okay. Plaintiff's claim against defendants is barred to the extent the defendant materially altered the original debt, if any, of Intellivision Entertainment LLC, included but not limited to changing the price of goods by the original debt, if any, or entering a novation to the original debt, if any. Could it have happened? Who knows? Plaintiff claim against defendant barred because plaintiff failed to notify defendant of the sale of the office equipment at issue. Well, I'm sure they tried to inform them, and they couldn't find anybody, right? Because nobody knows where Tommy's at or anybody else. Getter sues and repaid $400K of director loans. That's correct. That's correct. They took the money first, and then, and this is what really is telling me, guys, is something that I've suspected for a while, but it's so hard. I don't like to give opinions on things that I don't know, right? Because you could be wrong about anything. And a lot of it when it comes to this kind of stuff where, people have invested a lot of money and, lost a lot of money and people are disappointed, they're not getting the refunds, is that things may appear to be one way and or another. And what I think more and more is I'm looking into these things is that Tommy bought his own Kool-Aid. He thought he could do it, right? It's one thing to tell people with malice one thing, knowing that you're going to do another. Another very different thing is actually believing things that you cannot do. Right? That's something completely different. Right? So when somebody's in that knot, and you put a lie detector to them and you ask them, like if you ask me, and I really believe it, I'm part of some cult, and they tell me, do you really believe you're going to fly in an asteroid tomorrow? And I'm like, yes. You know, and I would pass the test because I actually do believe it, right? And Tommy may have believed that he could pull this off. At some point he knew, right? At some point he knew he was lost. But I think during the beginning, when he was signing all this stuff, being Mr. Big Shot, I believe that he believed he could pull it off. And he just didn't have, you know, what it takes to do this kind of thing. Just by the way he was spending money, you know, I mean, it just makes no sense. Okay, here. Plaintiff claim against a defendant is barred. Plaintiff failed to hold a commercially reasonable sale of the office equipment at issue. If the complaint plaintiff alleges that it financed equipment defendant for over $180,000 in February 2021, and after about 1 year, it sold that same equipment for only $5,400, which is what we read before. This sham sale, that's probably not going to go over well, but you know, I mean, he hired an attorney to write this stuff, right? And that's always good. You should always have an attorney in these situations because they're the ones who are going to defend you in the end, right? Let's see. I think Tommy was convinced it could be an easy gig like those VGL concerts where all he has to do is mimic playing guitar. Yeah, you know, he could have been better off just doing a Kickstarter. You know, I mean, realistically, instead of all this investor stuff and profit sharing where you have to deal with government agencies, right? Because at some point, people lose patience, right? When they start seeing this stuff that you can't even pay your bills, it's an issue, man. I mean, if you have 50 or, you know, more $1,000 invested in a profit sharing, I mean, at some point you have to know that you're screwed, right? Because whether you like it or not, you didn't invest with Tommy, you didn't invest with Intellivision, you invested with Republic. And they told you on the video, don't invest any money that you can't lose. I can only speak for that one, right? And I'm sure it has disclaimers there. Even though they say they do due diligence and all this stuff, you really have to read the contracts that people sign in order to get a good sense of what the product was, right? And have a lawyer go through it and read it out to you. So you know, and before I sign anything, especially if it's extensive, I have my lawyer take a look at it. And let me tell you something, guys. 9 times out of 10, he scratches some things out that are just standard of contracts that you have no business signing. Right? So you really do need legal advice and all these kind of matters. Let's see here. Number 8, plaintiff's claim against defendant is barred. Plaintiff was negligent in its administration of financing. Plaintiff's negligence in connection with its administration of financing increased the scope of the defendant's risk beyond risk that the defendant originally intended to assume, if any. Let's see. Yes, okay. I caught up with the chat here. Number 9, plaintiff's claim against defendant is barred because plaintiff had a duty to pursue Intellivision LLC before it pursued the defendant. So here it is again in number 9. So twice he's saying go after Mr. Phil Adam at Intellivision because he is the president, right? He's the person you need to be talking to, not me. Now, does that mean that they have the money or have some money? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who's pro Tommy over there, who's anti Tommy, at this point, we just don't know. And Phil Adam, by what I showed you here, is just a figurehead. Just like he was for ColecoVision, according to his own words, he lent his name to give the project more credibility. So his lack of answers, his lack of any firm decisions lead me to believe that he's just a figurehead that somebody has appointed. This is just my belief. I have actually no proof of this. But I think the people with the money in the company have him there for a reason. He's going to do whatever they say. And as long as he does that, he's going to keep on getting shares, maybe a paycheck. I don't know. I don't know what his pay is, right? I have no idea why he's taken that position. But if they do go to war, right? if they do go to war, let me tell you this. Tommy may have grounds to say, hey, listen, they ruined my dream. They ruined my dream. But now I'm going to do it my way. You know what? And we know there's people they're gonna do it his way. You know, I mean, he might have grounds for that to make that argument. I don't know how many people would believe him at this point, right? But he could say that, listen, I have this vision for this company. They pushed me out. I wasn't the majority shareholder, and this is what happened. Look what they did to my dream. You know, you could say stuff like that. You never know, right? Because at some point, these people, the directors like Gatoroo said here, they took $400K. They could have removed him from being a CEO as soon as they got the money, as soon as they got that those sweet millions. They said, you know what, Tommy, good job. Why don't you take a break? Why don't you take a break? Let us handle the money part, and you do you, right? Unfortunately, he had he signed some things he shouldn't have signed, right? But here, 2 times, right? Not once, but twice, he's saying, go after Intellivision. Don't come after me. Even though he signed a guarantee, so that's close to impossible. But now it's here on paper, right? You have Tommy Tallarico saying, go after Intellivision for this money. At least his attorney wrote it that way, right? So that's number 9. There's like 14 here. Plaintiff's claim against defendant is barred by doctrines of waiver, estopped, and or unclean hands. I'm not a lawyer, guys. I don't even know what that means, but it doesn't sound good, right? Whenever you use the words unclean hands, it doesn't sound like anything positive, right? Any recovery of the complaint or any claim for relief contained herein is barred by the doctrine of laches, given plaintiff unjustified delay in prosecuting this action in the determent of the defendant. So there was a delay, right? He wasn't informed in the right manner, according to this, or in a proper time, I would say. That would be my guess. Again, I'm not a lawyer, guys. Not a lawyer. Just reading a publicly available document that is the beginning. I think this is the declaration of the Intellivision Amico Civil War. Absolutely. Plaintiff has engaged in acts and courses of conduct which rendered plaintiff in pari delicto. Okay, not going to translate Latin. Plaintiff's claim against defendant fails, and plaintiff's is barred from recovery because any injuries or damages alleged by plaintiff, if any, were the result of new, independent, intervening, or superseding causes that are unrelated to defendant's conduct. Any actions on the part of the defendant was not the proximate or producing cause of the alleged injuries or damages plaintiff's claims were sustained or incurred. And number 14, comparative fault. The right of plaintiff, if any right exists, is reduced and limited to the percentage of fault attributable to the defendant pursuant to applicable law. That one is interesting, right? So that one is saying and again, I'm just a layperson here. I'm not an expert. I'm not a journalist, right? I'm just reading a publicly available document here that says, right, if I am at fault, right, it's only going to be to the percentage of what was actually my fault, right? So if it's 90% Intellivision's fault, let them pay 90% of the bills, right? I mean, there's, and why wouldn't he say that? There's 2 members of the board that are worth over $300 million. They got the big bucks. Why are you looking at me? I only got $3 million, according to the last public disclosure or analysis of Tommy's wealth, right? This is pre-Intellivision, right? So pre-Intellivision, he was estimated to be worth around $3 million. I don't know how much of that was the actual home that he owns, and his other things. So, take that with a grain of salt. But these guys were worth the guys in the board, they're actually worth 100 times more than Tommy Tallarico is. Now that is something. Okay, let's see here. Retro Bro is here. Hello, Retro Bro. The Pong Show is here. Hello, sir. How are you? If you guys want to watch bocce ball and you've never actually seen bocce ball being played, go watch it. Reminds me of my grandpa. He's got a short in there. It's pretty cool. And let's see here. 56K warning. Hello, how are you? And I think that is everybody else. Yes, guys. So let's recap here. What have we learned? Well, there's an email out there that I really don't want to talk about or verify because it doesn't look like somebody who has a business degree wrote it, right? It could be just somebody that somebody sent in order to get Phil's feedback. It's unverified, so it could be fake news, right? So I really don't want to speculate on that because, who knows, what it is. What I do want to speculate on is the fact that Gatoros made the offer, right? And he was here earlier, made the offer to port the games to Steam for free so people could get their refunds back. And I actually saw that in Northward Gamer show. Yeah, man, it was so nice just to sit back and actually just watch Intellivision content without being part of it. It's just kind of relaxing. I was watching No Swear Gamer. I watched Slopes video. I'm in at 3 hours and 10 minutes around there if you guys want to hear my voice. And yeah, man, I was cleaning and listening to that video. But anyway, guys, so I don't want to comment on that because that's something I can verify. But we can verify these documents. These are court documents here. This I can speak about. The relationship is going to be tense. There has to be a response to this. There has to be. And when the plaintiffs respond to these, defenses that Mr. Tallarico is claiming to do here, and we don't know if Intellivision is going to respond at all, right? Right now, we were just speculating with Gatoros that the original Intellivision company, LLC, that entered into this contract doesn't actually exist anymore, and there might be a new Intellivision. So Tommy may be the only one answering here. We don't know, right? It's something we're going to find out. So he might be fighting this battle on his own. And as far as I know, I haven't seen any documents that say, oh, my daughter got me this shirt, by the way, guys. Look, Hellfire Club. As far as I know, there aren't any bankruptcy documents for any LLC that I've seen or any dissolving documents of that limited liability corporation. So I don't know what's going on there. So all we know for sure is Tommy is saying, listen, you didn't go after Intellivision first, twice in his defense, right? He did it 2 times before you came to me, and he's, defending himself with a lawyer, which is, what people would do, right? And that's where we're at. I mean, this is going to get ugly, and by ugly, I mean really, really interesting, because of course, when it comes to $100,000, that's going to ruin some friendships. The directors took $400K, as Gatoros pointed out, for themselves back. And then, Tommy's the one who actually raised the money. And they left him hanging, basically. Because Intellivision knew they had this debt. They could have reorganized the debt. They could have done many things. The corporation, the LLC, could have declared something in order to make a repayment program with all their debtors. But nothing of that was done. It looks like the money came out and that was it. Everybody just went in their own ways. And if I had to guess, I think that what people said before, where there's two factions in the company, I think that's very real. I think that Tommy is going to get the short end of the stick if he signed more than one of these. I don't think that the current leadership of the company, board of directors, is willing to pay any bill that he guaranteed, obviously, especially if it fell under this old LLC. What is he going to do? I don't know. But more public documents are coming, guys. Absolutely. Man, don't I wish they would take this up on the Amigo Forever Hour and talk about it. Ask John Alvarado if you can there. What do you got to be a member like 21 days before you can comment on there, and then you get blocked if you even say anything improper? My kind of job: do nothing, get money, and quit. Yeah, you know what? That's basically it. That's basically it. And this is the interesting part, guys, is that if Tommy signed these guarantees, that wasn't his plan. That would be the worst way to do it. The worst. Signing personal guarantees. Because people like to say, oh, you know, he took the money and he's going to put it here. No, there's nowhere you're putting this money. There is nowhere you're putting this money with personal guarantees. You are screwed. Screwed. You would only do this for a company that you were going to be involved with long term and that you knew you could generate revenue from. But if he's the only one signing, that means that he's the only one that believed, and the rest of them were just like, hey, raise that money, Tommy. You do you. You're the star. But as soon as he brought in the checks and they were able to deposit in the bank, they're like, good job, son. Good job. Go do whatever it is that you go do. Go play music, go play guitar, whatever. We'll take care of the money now. That's what it seems to be based on these documents where we're going. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, because if that's if that's correct, whoo, this will get spicy. But maybe he could write a book or something. You know? Let's see here. They need more money to make the fake wood grain for the Founders Edition. Yes, they do. You know, they should at least give us that, man. For the Old Man Cringe community, you know, we deserve it after all this time. For those of us with a wood grain addiction, let me tell you something, guys. Now there's a lot of guys that won't admit it, right? Now everybody is wise and everybody says, oh, from the beginning I knew this was this and this was... Bullshit. When this first came out and this guy was talking about 10-yard fight and R-Type and this and that and the other, and it was going to be $150 and we're going to get all this stuff, and minds were getting blown, right? Everybody was getting a wood grain Woody. The Old Man Cringe community was going nuts. You know, and even I was like, man, this is pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. $150, we're going to get all these games. And at that point, I thought Tommy was spending his own money. Hey, if he wants to blow his money, let him. You know, I thought it was going to be a collectible. It might have not been successful. But at the point where he wasn't asking for money, I didn't get really where all the hate was coming from. I didn't know him that well, guys. I didn't know Tommy Tallarico until this Amico deal. I'd played some of the games that he was involved in, but I really had no clue who was, because I didn't watch that old show. And I didn't really start getting wise until they started asking for money and their numbers didn't add up. Right? That's when I was like, whoa. All right. Retro Bro, it seems like years you built the cult. Yes. Data Ombra, how are you? Oh, you missed all of it. You missed all of it. We went through this legal document here where Tommy's defending himself against that lawsuit. And twice he said, you need to go after Intellivision. So the Civil War has started, right? Not only that, Mr. Phil Adam is a veteran of crowdfunding. Look at this. He was involved with this company here. Let's see. He was involved with this company. Subdued Software, LLC, was started in 2009 by industry veterans Mike Tariki, Phil Adam, and Mike Michaels. The crew was together, right? And they raised only $16,000, and they wanted Phil's favorite number, which was $100,000. He likes that number. That's a good solid number, $100,000, right? Right? And then Tommy responded. There's also Data Ombre, a supposed email out there. It's unverified, so I didn't speak about it, but supposedly somebody contacted Phil Adam about licensing the games. From what I read, somebody sent it to me over Twitter. From what I read, it doesn't seem like anybody with a business degree wrote that, right? At least it doesn't seem like they had a college education, I can tell you that. And it's not the way that you make deals when it comes to licensing, right? It just, maybe they were just feeling him out to see what he would say. And he said, well, I need 6. It could be even 7. I mean, it's nuts. His response is nuts. You can find it out there. You can find it out there. But I don't want to talk about it until it's verified or Phil actually mentions it because I know that sometimes they'll do things to throw stories out there just to discredit people afterwards. So I don't want to run with anything like that. Let's see here. Jan, oh, my jaw's hitting the ground. Why doesn't the Amico forever talk about Amico topics anymore? Just random retro stuff. There isn't anything Amico related to them, right? But if they want to talk legal documents, if they want to talk about the Civil War, and you're one of the originals, Jiangong, aren't you not? Are you not? I'm sure you have a great top 10 list that you'd like to share with us. So yeah, I mean, there is... This is just the beginning, guys. You know, as far as legalese and stuff like that, I think this is just the beginning. I think there's more legal documents to come out. Not only that, I mean, think of this. Think of this, guys. If what Phil Adams' response was true, and he already has deals going on, right? Then how come people are still asking for refunds? Right? If let's take Phil Adams' word as gospel, and we say Phil Adams has contracts as we speak for deals for games of 6 figures and more, multiple, then why haven't people gotten their refunds? If you're Tommy Tallarico and you know this to be true, right? And if you're Tommy Tallarico and you know this to be true, wouldn't you be pissed that Phil Adams is here hanging on to 6-figure contracts, and here am I getting sued for $110,000, and you're not helping me out? You're not even answering these guys, and that's why they came after me? So it doesn't make sense, guys. It doesn't make sense. And what he's saying here could make sense, right? He said, why didn't you go after Intellivision first? Why is he saying that? Because he knows they have money? Maybe this new version of Intellivision has money? Anything is possible. I mean, everything is going to be in the answer that this other company gives to Tommy Tallarico as far as his defenses and what he answers back. Because if they do have the money, and that's his defense, hey, listen, this company has the money. Why are you, right? If they have the money, why are you bothering me? Yes, I signed the guarantee, but these folks have the money on hand. I know this for a fact. Go contact them. Here's the information. I mean, this is stuff that could become public if they're going back and forth, and that would just be mind-blowingly amazing, right? That would be great. Let's see here. Phil Adams is just shooting in the dark at this point. Hello, Justy Views. Yeah. I mean, the whole asking for 6 figures, right? Why are you going to ask for 6 figures when this company has never proven that they can sell 100,000 of anything? But what game can you name me, right, that they could license where they're going to make $100,000? Remember the rule of 1. If you can move that many units, that's how much I want in guarantee, right? So if somebody from my business venture, right, somebody would come up to me and says, dude, I can move 10,000 units in 30 days or, 50, 60 days, whatever it is. You know what kind of check I would write? Because of the profits I would, 10,000 would be nothing against the profits I could make from moving 10,000 units, right? So if you're asking for 100,000, I'm basically, if I'm going to be paying $1 a game to you back, who the heck is going to believe that any of the games that were announced by Intellivision Amico are going to sell 100,000 units? I don't see any, right? They didn't sell out of their products, right? There's still physical products available. So, okay, say, well, it's really $2 a game that we're going to charge you. So you're probably going to sell 50,000. Where? Where do you see 50,000? You would have to have at least 50,000 consoles, if not more. And that's if you had a 1-to-1 as far as the games. You couldn't do that, right? Because you only have 25 made. So now you're going to sell it on Steam, which is not going to be any better than any of the thousands and thousands of games that are already out there. You would have to know about the Intellivision Amico. You would have to be a huge fan. Their channel, what was their peak? Like 16,000? Look at these topics. Even, there's not enough interest to warrant that kind of figure in any of their products. Not even Finnegan Fox. So it's nuts to be asking for 100,000. DJC and Mollis can maybe list the test units on eBay for 100K to bail Tommy. Yes, but you watched Slopes, went to Coab, and forgot I saw Gen X notification. Just to use the Amico Forever team on, I didn't see. Also, sadly, I don't interact with the audience much anymore or talk about Amico. I haven't left. I still pop in. Well, guys, that was the show for today. If there are any, and I mean any significant things that come up, I'll talk about them. Unfortunately, there isn't many nowadays, right? And now that the wife is getting closer, right? She's getting closer to that day. I'm looking at myself, doing different things. I have to do, more things around the house. I have other challenges. So, I'm starting to see here, what is going to be life after the Amico, right? And I do enjoy talking to you guys most of all. It's probably not the content that most people see, right? The Amico stuff always does better, of course. We're talking about other topics. But I just don't want to talk about people when they, I just don't want to criticize people for the heck of criticizing them. If there's something to talk about, right? If somebody's getting ripped off or something, somebody's doing something wrong, yeah, okay. But, I know some of you are disappointed that I don't talk about the crew over there, but, I didn't start the pregame show to talk about people and just crap on them, that's not the purpose of the show. I want to talk about due date. It looks like the first or second week of April. I want to talk about interesting topics. There's a lot of other things. I'm going to be talking about journalism here pretty soon, a couple of stories in journalism. And some other interesting stuff, guys. That's business related that we can talk about. And hopefully it's stuff that you guys can listen while at work, while you're driving. And you guys, I really do thank you. Really do thank you for stopping by and sharing the evening with me. I still can't believe more than 5 people show up to these things. It really does amaze me sometimes. But, stay tuned. I'll have a couple more videos. And remember, if you want to be part of the Cornhole Club, it's just 99 cents. But if you want the free games, which will be available, I'm going to make some free games available on chat on my next one, guys. They just didn't deliver it to me on time, but I'll put some game codes for Steam on my next live video. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Let me say hi to everybody here. Intellivision Revolution. Amico will end, but Intellivision lives. That's right. Yeah, if you're a true fan of Intellivision, it really does kind of suck, man. The name of the console just dragged. Just a View says, no, I'm upset I'm not talking about the crew. I'm more interested in talking about crapping on my 100 up pre-order. Your channel's great. Keep doing you. Thank you so much, Mr. Pong Show, Jang Han, Just a Views, DJ Mollis, Civil War, LOL. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. I have to go talk to the wife right now. You guys have a great evening. Thank you so much. Take care.
New videos every week. Make sure you don't miss out and subscribe.